Morning, guys. So this shotgun right here, this is the shotgun that was just in that video. This is a 28 gauge Bacala, and the customer brought it in and he wanted me to make it into a quail gun. So as it sits right now, it is not a quail gun. It's got this horrendous recoil pad on it, which weighs, I don't know how many. This recoil pad must weigh at least a pound. Moves a balance point from where it's supposed to be, which is right here, to back over here. And he wanted me to remove this pistol grip, make this into a straight stock, convert it into a straight stock. So I think it's gonna be a great project. Surprisingly, the metalwork on this gun is stellar. I'm really surprised considering where it came from. Most of some of these Bacala shotguns really aren't known for decent metalwork, but it has really good stuff. The fit and finish is decent. It's not great, but it's decent. And I think it's going to be a fantastic shotgun. So when we get done with it. So part of the project too of this is obviously I'm going to strip and finish this stock. It looks to me like whoever put this recoil pad onto it didn't really, really amateurish. The finish is horrible. All the stuff we talked about in the last video about the open grain and when you get something outside in the sun and how horrible it is, this is a great example. So, so what we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this pistol grip right here, okay, and convert this into a straight stock. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to shoot me taking the stock off of the, do all that stuff, taking the recoil pad and all that. I'm just going to come back and I will have this removed and I'll go about how we do the geometry of taking this pistol grip off, okay? So let's get to it. All right, guys, so when we get to that point where we're gonna shape the stock, obviously the first step is gonna be to remove that pistol grip, okay? So we're gonna remove the pistol grip. We're gonna use one of these, a saw of some type. Now, if I was in school doing this demo like I had hoped to be, I would have gone and cut it on the bandsaw. However, don't have that option. So this is a finisher's carpenter saw. A Japanese push-pull saw would work much better, but I don't have one. So we're gonna go through and you need this to remove the pistol grip. Now you could, there's videos out there on YouTube of guys doing this. You could remove the pistol grip with just using a file, but that's gonna take a long time and it's kind of like, work smart, not hard. So so the next step after I've cut the pistol grip off is I'm going to use this here. This is a horseshoe farrier's rasp. This is what shapes the horse's hoof to the horseshoe, okay? This is a great file if you're going to get into shaping stocks and whatnot, okay? It removes a lot of material, quickly, so you got to keep that in mind, is that you could very quickly remove a whole bunch of material and kind of have to buy a new stock. So keep that in mind, but this is a great tool. This is gonna help me get this stock about 95% shaped, okay? So it's a horseshoe farrier's rasp, okay? I got this at Tool Exchange for I think 15 bucks, something like that. So great tool to have. It's also a good tool when you get, say, you get a stock back from a duplicator and say he's left you, 100 thou aside on each side of the stock to go through and do the final shaping. This is what I would use for that. Patrick, your stock with the pistol or the thumb hole, whatnot, you would use this first to go through and shape a lot of that stuff out of there, okay? Next step is gonna be, this is a bastard file, flat bastard file, double cut, little bit finer than this one, but still removes a lot of material. I kind of use this for when I'm getting down to the finer details, getting to the final shape. Any type of, if there's a high spot or whatnot in the stock, this helps take that out, and we're not removing a whole bunch of material where this one would, and kind of make, remove too much. So I can move to this file next. Last file I'm going to use is this one. This is kind of for doing fine detail stuff. It's a double cut file as well, but it's much finer than this one. So I'll do my final stuff, any tiny, maybe slight line or ridge or something like that in the stock that you can't really see with the naked eye, but you can kind of feel. I'll use this one. And then I go to my sandpapers. I got a sandpaper block, this is 220. I'll move up to 320, 400, whatever I'm at. I use a sandpaper block. It's got a nice hard edge, won't round something off. And then I get down to these right here, these foam blocks, just when I'm doing the final finishes and stuff on that, okay? So that's what we're gonna do for, these are the tools that you're gonna need for this. All right, guys, so stock has been removed. And this is a funny thing of what's gonna happen a lot when you get into gunsmithing is, I hope I get this up here from one shot, is these holes right here are totally blown out. Okay, if they're putting a recoil pad on it. So I'm gonna have to stuff these with a dowel and glue them in there and cut those off and re-drill these holes. These holes aren't even centered. So that's gonna take, you know, me the rest of the day to do that. So, but I can't get the stock shape today. So what I'm gonna do is I'll do this video on how to shape this stock right here. And, you know, I'll get that one posted, and then I'll do the recoil pad in another video. So these are little, that's a little stick that came out of it. So you can see the thread screws in it. So either the amateur who did it, or, you know, God forbid, a professional, try to do this and did not do it the correct way. That's something that happens a lot as a gunsmith, okay? As you come across someone else's mistakes and you have to make them. And that's why I'm always talking about, you know, having to be careful what comes into your shop, because once you accept the project, you own it, okay? So now that's something I'm gonna have to fix in order to do this job correctly, okay? So, but what we're gonna do next here is shape this stock, okay? So what you're gonna do, I'll put it this way here. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take a straight edge ruler, okay? And you're gonna line that ruler up with right here where the trigger guard is, okay? That spot right there, and line it up here with the toe, okay? So you're gonna wanna line that up like so, okay? And that's the line with which we're gonna go by to cut that off, okay? So you get that lined up and give yourself just a little bit of leeway here, because you wanna try and have enough, meat to play with. But that's basically the line right there, okay? We're gonna use that line as a guide to cut that off, okay? So I will cut this off and I will come back. Okay guys, so I just cut the little knob off, okay? So that's what it's gonna look like. I have left enough meat, probably about, I'd say 200 thou, probably right there, to shape. It's got, you can see that side right there where the line is gonna be fine. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start filing this off and shaping it up. All right, so let's get going. Okay guys, so let's get to shaping this. This is basically getting your vise, get at an angle, you can start rounding it off. And when you're shaping stuff, what you're trying to do is do a series of flats, okay? So you want to do a series of flats over, and then, because this is obviously a flat right here, right in the middle. So you're going to do a flat on that side, kind of a flat like that, flat on that side, flat on that side, and then you're just going to start shaping them all together, okay? Get them so that once you get a series of flats, then you can just kind of use the finer file to start blending them all in. And this is kind of a process where, same thing, I'm going to work one side first, okay? One side first, and then I'll start working my way towards the other side. Let me get a good angle here on how I can do this. And this is just going to be like a kind of go a little bit, adjust a little bit, go a little bit, adjust a little bit.
You're killing this workout. But are you protecting the future of your teeth like you do your body? I mean, who wants a six-pack and unhealthy teeth?
All right, guys, let's do an update here. So you can see that I've got about 80% of it or so shaped. I'm getting it rounded off and right now, and my lines are pretty good. I got a high spot right up here, right by the tang, where it's still a little flat, that I gotta get that out. Do a little more rounding on here. You can kind of see right there. I still got a little bit, some of that meat right in there on this side right here that I'm gonna take out. But it's coming along, and I will keep you posted. I'm still working on it. So got probably about another 15, 20 minutes, half hour if I drink my cup of coffee to go on this. So when I get closer to using this file right here, I will come back. All right, way to go, guys. All right, now we're down to the sanding part of it. Okay, high spots are pretty good, pretty much gone. This stock has some cast off to it, so got to be careful when I'm doing that, not to sand that out. But so next step, I'm going to go to my sanding block, and I'm going with pretty aggressive sandpaper here. This is a 60 grit, and it's just going to kind of go through and finish what I'm shaping here. Okay, so that's basically the next step. We'll get it about right up in here, because I'm still working on that side right there. I've got a little flat right here that I'm trying to sand out. So we'll get to it. All right, guys, so this is it. This is a pistol grip stock that has been converted into a straight stock, an English stock. You can see a lot of work. You take this off, you got these flat lines and whatnot on it, and other than stripping this whole thing down, which I'll go through and do later, that's pretty much a lot of the work that's going to go into that. This is actually going to be a pretty decent stock. This is a good example of how someone who, not their fault, they just haven't been to school like we have, kind of covers over a pretty decent piece of walnut. When I fill all this grain and oil finish this is going to look pretty good. It's going to look beautiful, actually. It's got a lot of nice figure, a lot of nice dark colors in there, and oil finish is really going to bring that out. So that's a pretty good example of taking something like the shotgun, the Bacala that's, it's not a Purdy or anything like that. It's not an English game gun or anything, but, with a little bit of work, and a blue collar, quail hunter in Arizona could have a pretty decent shotgun when he's done with it. So this is as far as I'm gonna go for this video. This project is going to be, I'm gonna work on this the rest of the semester. And the next part I will do is I will get the recoil pad fit on it. I'm gonna put this pad on it. This is a brown English style recoil pad. I think that'll look good with this. If I had a red one, I would, but I'm not sure red would go good with this anyway. But the brown pad here will look pretty decent, so I'll put that on next. But I have to fill these holes, and like I talked about earlier in the video, that's an example. This is a great example of taking something into your shop, and as you get into it, you're like, wow, I got to fix that. Okay, so I got to fix this, and I didn't see it when he brought it into me originally. So I can't call him up and say, hey, by the way, I got to fix this. I got to add more money to it. So it's a good customer. This guy's a good customer. I've done probably 5 different projects for him. And this particular customer has fed me more work and more rifle builds than probably anything, really. Like I've said, I don't advertise. So this guy here is someone who I take particular care of. And I take care of all my customers, but this is a good example of doing a good job for someone can feed you more work. So this is going to look really good when it's done. So what I'll do after I put the recoil pad on is I will go through and I'm going to sand and fill. I'm going to whisker the stock, sand and fill it, do an oil finish. And when I get done with this, which will probably be towards the end of the semester, because I have other projects going on in my shop, it'll be something that I'm going to show you guys. I'll put a video out on, and show you this is what it looks like at the end. So basically how to shape your stock, you're going to need these tools right here. You're going to need a horseshoer's rasp, all right, to remove a lot of that material. Then you're going to move to a finer type. This is still pretty rough. This is a very rough wood file right here, but still it's not as rough as this one. Then you're going to move after you get to that to a your sanding block. Because once sometimes when you get down to the high spots and stuff like that, if you keep using this, you can take off too much material. So you move to your sanding block at that point and start to take off a lot of those high spots. And then you're going to move to just, your 220, move up through your progressions as far as getting ready to oil finish this. So this is pretty good, guys. I'm pretty happy with this. I'm going to keep working on this, and I will plug these holes after I get off of after I do my next video. I will plug these holes, and all that's going to go into the video of how to put a recoil pad on. So I will get this video out. You guys watch this one, and then the recoil pad one I'll put out later in the week. Okay, maybe the bedding one too. So anyway, let's go ahead and review this video. Don't be afraid that when you get stuff like this in, this is a stock class, and this is about as stock work as you can get to take something that looked like a horrible, really. I mean, if you think about it, really horrible stock, and then reshape it into something that's pretty nice. Okay, when this is done, this is one I'm gonna be, I think we'll be pretty proud of. There's a lot of beautiful grain in this wood, and that's kind of what we're learning here in the school, right? Is how to take something that's just okay and make it into something that's pretty good. Okay, all right.